Okay. So, let us take another example. Say f of x equal to 5, it is a constant for x not equal to 1, and f of 1 equal to 1. So, f is defined over the whole of real numbers now. At 1 it is taking the value 1, at everywhere else it is 5. Now, what should be limit of f x? So, again if you see your nearness argument, the x is near 1, but not equal to 1. So, whatever you choose it will be 5. So, that f x should be near 5, right, it is equal to 5 really. So, that is what we want to show formally, and this is what the limit should come. Now, formally how do you do that? Well, all that you have to do is choose epsilon equal to delta here. Now, suppose epsilon greater than 0 is given. Now, choosing epsilon and choosing delta is equal to epsilon, the other way around. Suppose we take x minus 1 mod is less than delta. So, now when you take the f of x, it will be 5 anyway. So, now f of x minus 5 mod equal to 0, because f x equal to 5 and x is not equal to 1 here, that is why. Anyway, this is less than your epsilon. So, here if you choose any epsilon, not even choose any delta, not even this epsilon, some other delta, that also does not matter, because your value remains constant there, f x equal to 5 throughout. So, that is how we will be verifying it formally. Okay. So, let us take the next example. Now, here f of x is equal to x square minus 25 by x minus 5 for x not equal to 5, and f of x is not defined at x equal to 5, and we know it does not matter for computing the limit of f x as x goes to 5, at different points it might. So, what happens for this? How do you get this limit? Well, when x is near 5, this x is equal to 5, this becomes 0, but x is near 5, the denominator is never 0. So, that means you can really simplify this, right. So, it says that you take x square minus 25 by x minus 5, write this as x plus 5, right. This is what you can see. So, because x is not equal to 5, that is what our definition requires. So, x remains near 5, but not equal to 5. So, in that case the function x square minus 25 by x minus 5 is really x plus 5. It is not given this way just to confuse, right. Yeah. So, because x is never equal to 5, so you can always cancel, and this is x plus 5 really. And as we see, when x goes to 5, x plus 5 should go to 10. That is what our feeling is, that is 10 should be the limit. And formally again you can try to verify with the same, that taking delta equal to epsilon as earlier in our first example of x plus 2, the same way it goes here. Okay. Fine. So, limit equal to 10. Now, sometimes limit may not exist, that is what we wanted to see how it happens. So, find the limits of the following functions as x goes to 0. So, in the first one, x less than 0, our function y equal to f of x is defined to be 0, and when greater than or equal to 0, our function is defined to be 1. So, this is the graph. Here 0 is excluded. So, you see a hollow dot, hollow small circle, and on the top it is a solid one. So, 1 is included there, that point x equal to 1 is included. That is how the graph looks like. Now, when you take the limit of the function as x goes to 0, say x remains near 0. So, that means x can be somewhere here or x can be somewhere here. On the left side, f of x becomes equal to 0. So, you may say it remains near 0. On the right side, f x becomes 1. So, that means it remains near 1. So, that means for any points here, f x does not remain uniformly, of course, either this side or that side, whichever side you take, it does not remain close to any one, either 0 or 1. If you say it remains close to 0, then I would give a point on the right side and say what about this? No, it does not. If you say it remains close to 1, I would give 1 point on the left, and you see that it does not remain near that. So, it neither it remains close to 0 nor it remains close to 1, and it remains close to no other number, because it is either 0 or 1, right. Therefore, this does not have a limit as x goes to 0. Let us look at another, the second picture. There we have the function as y equal to f of x, which is 0 at x equal to 0, and it is 1 divided by x when x is not equal to 0. So, at 0 it is 0, it is a blue big small circle is there. So, you can see that is included, and the other side it is 1 by x when x is positive, it is x is negative, it is also 1 by x, it comes this way. Okay. So, what happens when x is near 0? When x is near 0 on the right side, you see that I can make it as large as possible. That means, if I want that my f of x should be bigger than 100, I will choose x to be smaller than 1 by 100. So, I can make it large and large, as large as possible really. And on the left side, I can make as small as possible. Okay. So, suppose I want to say that it is less than minus 10, I will take something between minus 1 by 10 to 0. So, it becomes bigger. So, that is how it does not have a limit, but it is slightly different from the earlier case. Here on the right side, we are getting very large quantities as the functional values when x is remaining near 0. On the left side, it is very small values. It is not like 0 and 1. It is which number? There is no specific number here near which it stays when it is near 0. There, of course, on the left side, when it is near 0, it was staying, f of x was staying near 0. On the right side, it was staying near 1. Here on the left side, it does not stay near any real number, no negatives even. On the right side also, it does not stay any real number. Okay, let us look at the third one. Here it says f of 0 equal to 0, and not only that, but it is also 0 for all the negatives. So, that means this one, this is its graph, and it is sine of 1 by x when x is bigger than 0. So, this you have to really plot it to see why the graph sine of 1 by x looks like this. So, when x is remaining near 0, sine of 1 by x really is oscillating. It is between any number between this, it is taking minus 1 to 1, it goes on taking values between minus 1 to 1, staying near no number between minus 1 to 1, but almost going near everywhere, okay, near everyone between minus 1 to 1. So, this is an oscillating behavior near x equal to 0. These three cases are different. These are various ways the limit may not exist. It can vary between, jump between two numbers, or may not remain close to any number, but one becomes very large, one becomes very small, and here it is really bounded between minus 1 to 1, but it does not remain near any number. It is also oscillating between minus 1 to 1 and any number between that. That is how limit may not exist. Okay, so, that is what being explained. As x is less than 0, we see that f x equal to 0, and if x is greater than 0, f x equal to 1. So, the limit really jumps between 0 and 1 when x is equal to 0. In the second one, it grows to become very large or very small, and in the third one, it really oscillates between minus 1 to 1. Okay. So, now let us see how to apply these ideas, whatever we have learnt till now, on some problems. So, now let us take the function s equal to f of t. Instead of y equal to f of x, sometimes we write s equal to f of t also, that should not worry you. So, find the following limits or explain why a limit does not exist. The first case, limit of f of t as t goes to minus 2. So, this is the t axis which was x axis earlier, this is s which is y axis earlier. Now, f of t is given by this picture. So, what does that mean? Let us read the picture. At 0, its value is 0. When it is less than 0, So, it is lying between minus 1 to 0 and also equal to minus 1. Its value is minus 1, and between minus 2 to minus 1, it goes as a straight line here, joining these 2 points, right, minus 1 to minus 2 0. And beyond that, you may think of this as if the other straight line. At minus 2, it is not defined, and here on the other side, if x is bigger than 0, it is behaving like the straight line y equal to 1. So, we are trying to find out the limit t goes to minus 2. So, minus 2 is here. So, other things are not, we are not concerned now, because we are concerned about numbers in a neighborhood of minus 2. We can always limit it to smaller one, whichever is convenient for us, because that is the way we can choose our delta to make it smaller and smaller. Okay. So, within minus 2 what happens? From this side it goes to, so it remains near 0 in y axis. If you take it, its value remains close to 0, right also it remains close to 0. It looks like the limit should be equal to 0. Okay. That is what we see, the limit should be equal to 0, and you can justify it formally, of course. Now, what about b? B, we are asking the same function, limit of f t goes to minus 1. So, t goes to minus 1, if you take a it is here taken in neighborhood, we can limit it conveniently. So, on the one side it is a straight line joining these 2 points, that is minus 2 and 0 here, and it is minus 1 this on the left side. And when it is near minus 1, x is remaining near 1. So, y is remaining near also minus 1, and on the other side y equal to minus 1. So, the limit should be minus 1, and that is what we say on b. Next, we are asked to find in c limit of f t goes to 0. So, at 0. So, you take a small neighborhood around 0. On the left side, the value of the function is remaining near minus 1, it is exactly equal to minus 1. On the right side, it is 1. So, it should not have any limit there. It does not matter whatever f 0 is defined, right. So, C says that as t goes to 0 with t less than 0, f t remains near minus 1, and as t goes to 0 with t greater than 0, f t remains near 1. So, limit does not exist. Okay. Fine, I think this is clear. Now, let us find out the limit of this function, which is given as x square minus 2 x minus 3 divided by x square minus 4 x plus 3. The limit as x goes to 3. So, first thing we should check what happens for the denominator if it is 3. So, it is really 9 minus 12, it is really 0, right, if x is equal to 3. But this is all right, because the function need not be defined at x equal to 3 for getting a limit. Now, you have to see what happens for this. If there is a simplification, it will be easier. Yes, there is a simplification. What we do? With x is not equal to 3, we can factorize. The top one is x minus 3 into x plus 1, bottom one is x minus 3 into x minus 1. So, that can cancel and we get x plus 1 by x minus 1. Now, we can take the limit of this. So, the top one remains near 1, this is 3. So, this is 3 plus 1 4, and down remains near 3 minus 1 2. So, we expect that this ratio should be near 2. Of course, formally to justify we will take some time here, how to choose your delta remaining on epsilon. But later we will find a shortcut, we do not have to formally do always everything, right. Okay, so, this is what says that our feeling is that it should be remaining near 2, and we write limit equal to 2. You can try justifying it. Okay. So, let us stop here today.